Welcome back into my humble abode because I could not wait until Monday morning to talk about Nicki Minaj and Miley Cyrus. Oh my god, that beef was unbelievable. It was almost, it wasn't as if it wasn't staged backstage to clearly be staged. No, I'm here because I wanted to talk to you guys about the Premier League best and worst, because I just wanted to get this up first thing Monday morning. I want you to wake up, have your coffee, your newspaper, and just think, I wonder what Franny's saying about this week's Premier League action, because my god, what a bunch of results happened this weekend. I just have to talk about so many of them, and I have to get to winners, losers. I'm probably going to mix them up, not even know what I'm talking about, but that's how good this Premier League's action was, because this is why I love it. This is why I think it's one of the best leagues in the world. Not a lot of upsets happen, I would say, on a regular basis. Some may happen, of course. In La Liga, you'll see that now and again. I think Barcelona only winning 1-0 is an upset that people think, but it's not 3-0 West Ham destroying Liverpool. It's not 2-1 Crystal Palace beating Chelsea. And that goes straight into my two winners. Again, Alan Pardew will get another winners award for me. I think this is 2 in 2 weeks for him. He's going to pick up a bunch of these for a collection and probably get my winner of the year if he keeps going around this way. So he has to be my winner, because to beat Chelsea, the champions, is a very hard thing to do. Fearlessness is what he is installing in his players. They're going to Chelsea. They know for a fact they can win this game. And Chelsea just look, I don't even have a clue. It's not even like they're playing half as good as what they did last year. They just don't even, I don't think they even are confident enough in beating a team like Crystal Palace. And it's astounding when you get a guy like Falcao scoring. I mean, you think, all right, Falcao's going to score. Surely now we can win this game, because if Falcao scores, then miracles obviously do happen. But the fact that Crystal Palace just, I would say, were comfortable to come back and win that game. They always look like scoring. I think that Alan Pardew deserves a lot of credit for this. And I'm going to go along the manager route again to Slaven Bilic, who has taken over a West Ham team that were dire towards the end of last season. Sam Allardyce's men last season, just they had a good start, but I feared the worst for them towards the end of last year, and he's reinstalled faith that they can beat anyone. They beat Arsenal at the start of the season comfortably. They've they've beaten Liverpool 3-0 without even batting an eyelid. Yes, people could talk about the fact that Coutinho had been sent off, but I still thought West Ham were one of the better teams that I've seen in this weekend's action, moving the ball freely. I thought the Noble was great for them. I just think that they overall look like a very well-rounded Premier League team, and I feared for them this season. I have to say, I talked about it in the early predictions for the Premier League. I feared that they might not have had enough this season to stay up. It's still early doors. I'm not going to give any bold predictions like that, but they definitely have started well. And then on my final winner, I mean, there's a bunch that you could talk about this weekend. I still think that Raheem deserves an honourable mention for scoring for Man City, and I thought he had a great game. And I think that adjusting to that, with probably the 99% of England wishing him the worst after making that very elaborate LeBron James-esque move to Manchester City, I think the people wished the worst, but he did well. And I have to say that I think that he's been playing very well for Manchester City, and I give him all the credit in the world for that game. And my next winner, of course, to please Jason Rubin, Ayew and Gomis as they've been calling them, do it again. 2 goals from those two guys to beat a very, very below average, borderline poor Manchester United team, and that will lead into my next loser, Louis van Gaal, unless he does something in the transfer window. But talking about the winner again, Gomis' movement throughout was phenomenal. He had just as much chances, probably lesser chances than Wayne Rooney had. He put it in the back of the net. That's the difference. Wayne Rooney was so hesitant, didn't want to strike with his left foot. I'm going to go with a loser with partly Van Gaal and partly Wayne Rooney's left foot, because it must be a loser if he just doesn't want to use it. The example, which was a phenomenal bit of football from him, Wayne Rooney of old, taking it down, an amazing touch, rolling the body by a defender, putting it through the legs of Williams, and then he could easily strike it with his left. No, he waits, he hesitates, and countless times Wayne Rooney has had opportunities and just can't seem to score in the Premier League. 10 games now have went by and he hasn't scored, and that's not good enough for Manchester United. But back again to Swansea. I told you I was going to go between these. Swansea, phenomenal throughout. I just thought that Sigurdsson in the middle was great. I thought that they really were comfortable, even though Manchester United had a lot of the possession. I think Schweinsteiger and Schneider were knocking it around nicely in the middle, but no real penetration, and that's the problem for Manchester United. So all credit to Ayew. What a phenomenal ball that was for Gomis' goal, and obviously a great header for his goal. But to talk about Manchester United on this, so when Wayne Rooney can't drop deep to pick up the ball where he can I would say, lay it off and get that nice 1-2, then he's not as effective. Holding the line, I think he's still got the speed, to be fair, even though his legs are getting on a bit. He's still got the speed. You can see that he can still find his way in behind. But he's just not consistent enough of a goal scorer. I still rate Wayne Rooney as a very, very good footballer. I think that he's very good in terms of how he can hold up play. His vision, his intelligence more than anything is great on the field. And Manchester United need him to be a second striker to someone else. So Louis van Gaal will be a loser for me unless he makes a big move for a goal scoring striker. They need someone in there who can score goals. They need someone. Gareth Bale for me is a good signing for Man United, of course he is, but he's not going to score goals. You're signing players like Memphis Depay, right? So I had a lot of criticism for Memphis Depay on Twitter today because all I seen him do was try to win fouls. I cannot believe that people were placing this much hype around a player who hasn't really. He came from a good background. I think he came from a good reputation and how direct he was, and he's strong, he's fast, he looks the part. But every single time I could have telegraphed that he was cutting inside. He was more obvious than me coming into work on a Monday wearing a tie. You just know what's going to happen. Obviously, I'm saying this now because it's funny because I'm wearing a t-shirt. But still, he should have at least experimented with the ball. Try to go down the line. Try to whip it in with your left foot. There was a couple of chances, yes, he played some nice passes inside and cut between the defence, but it was just so telegraphed. And then Louis van Gaal takes off Mata, who scores a goal, who then I would have rather just drop into the midfield a little deeper and try to get him to link up with Herrera. Then he takes off Herrera and leaves Depay on, who in the last 5 minutes tried, I think I counted 6 times to win a foul when he was barely touched. That I cannot stand. This is my slight Manchester United fanboy coming out because I want him to do well, but it's just annoying. That was so annoying. I just couldn't stand it. Ashley Young provided at least a life. I don't know why he wasn't starting. Maybe he's not up to fitness according to Louis van Gaal. I don't know. You bring on Fellaini, and even then you look still more like a threat, but no creativity whatsoever. No cutting edge inside the box, and they need a striker. So for me, Louis van Gaal will absolutely be a loser until he signs a star striker. Loser again, Brendan Rodgers in Liverpool. I don't like to place it all on the manager, but you got to think to yourself, losing 3-0 to West Ham is very Liverpool of last season, and I thought they looked good against Arsenal. I was encouraged by their performance. I'm encouraged by how well Benteke's fitting in, and I just hope that they wouldn't suffer the same, I would say, follow the same traits as the last season. But it's clear, losing 3-0 to West Ham is just not acceptable for Liverpool, and I think Liverpool fans will be really frustrated, especially with the money spent this year. That's why I'm saying Brendan Rodgers. A lot of money they spent, but out of those players signed, your James Milners, Benteke's a good signing. Where's the centre backs? Where is the centre backs? Has anyone watched Dejan Lovren last year, or was it just me? Did anyone watch Skirtle be pretty average, or was it just me? I thought if I was a Liverpool fan, I would be probably standing outside Brendan Rodgers' door. Mate, you need a centre back. You need a centre defender, because these guys are not good enough. Klein's a good signing at right back, don't get me wrong, good player. But when you can drop someone like Emre Can back towards the end of last season, and he looks like one of the best centre backs out of your makeshift back line, or whatever, back 3 or back 4, whatever they played towards the end, that's a problem. They need to sign a centre back, and they've got 2 or 3 days to do so, and I don't think they will. I think they're going to go and they'll have some good games. Lovren will look okay, and then he'll be found out again. And I think that it's not just Lovren, I'm just saying as a whole, they need other centre defenders. They need a star quality centre defender. When they were at their prime and they were competing and they were winning Champions League, you had Hyypiä and Jamie Carragher. You had good defenders, and defence was never really the issue for Liverpool. But in this situation, I think it is. So that's a loser for me in that instance. And I was going to go with Jose Mourinho because they lost 2-1 to Crystal Palace, but I think that I have to just go with Whittaker because he is, obviously he's not a former Rangers fan, so a little bias in there, but he gets sent off in the first half for Norwich. They're going to be struggling this season. End of story, they're going to be struggling because I just don't think they've added to their team as much as they should have had to come into the Premier League with more experience. I'm going to say the same for Watford, who obviously suffered a simple defeat to in-form Manchester City. But Whittaker for 2 stupid yellows, and he used to do this all the time in the Premier League. I'm telling you this from experience, watching him. He used to pull people down non-stop. He always tries to get the niggles, and the referee just had enough. No, you're sent off. You, for me, cost Southampton that game. Southampton looked like the better team, but to get sent off at that early stage of a game, for me, has to cause you to potentially be my third and biggest loser from the weekend. So there you have it, my winners and losers, and some in-depth, I would say, talking points. We're going to talk a lot more tomorrow, and me and Jason, I'm going to get his perspective on at Swansea, what he thinks of that. Going to get his perspective on Chelsea, what's going wrong there, and talk about De Bruyne moving to Manchester City as well. So plenty of things to talk about. I just wanted to bring you guys a video to talk more so in my I Love TYT shirt. Make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Francis_Maxwell, at my Facebook. Make sure to check out my Facebook, post all these videos there. Anyway, easy way to keep up to date of what I'm up to. Francis Maxwell Host, I think it is, on Facebook, and Francis Maxwell TYT on Instagram. Thanks, guys.